Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to Philly Talk with MK. How you guys doing? And I got a very special guest today. Shout out to my guy Jake Fisher for helping me set this up. I am welcomed by a former Philadelphia 76er, personally one of my favorites, Spencer Hawes. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Mitch. Good to be on the show.
Yeah. I'm guessing you're watching the game right now too, right?
I got it. I got it right over there, and it looks like it's a good start for the 76ers.
There we go. That's what I like to hear. So I just got to start off in saying, what are you doing now since you're not in the league? Are you still working out? Are you still like doing your thing, or what are you doing now?
Yeah, I'm still. I can't. I tried to shut it down for a little bit, and I think you just get wired to being in this certain type of routine. So I'm still working out. Not as much stuff on the court as I used to, but trying to stay in shape and just keep yourself physically sharp, but mentally as well. You never know what opportunity may come up, or what you want to be prepared for.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, you've been in the league for like so long. It must be different, right? You know,
Yeah,
just
it, it was an adjustment, but I think it kind of coincided with the pandemic as well, where everybody's life kind of got thrown upside down. So you have to be able to adapt, but at the same time, going into it, it's not going to last forever, and it's a brutal wake up call when the phone stops ringing. But it's one that's what you try and prepare for, and make sure that you got enough stuff going on outside of basketball that it doesn't continue to define you and define your existence.
right. Yeah, of course. Now, didn't you try to work out for the Sixers this past year?
I did a couple years ago. I came in and did a workout. Maybe it was time kind of blends together. Can't remember if it was a couple years ago or a few, but was out there, had a workout, and got to see the new facility, which was impressive. It was a slight upgrade over the confines that we were in my time in Philadelphia.
hmm So speaking of that, you were traded from Sacramento to Philly for that in that Samuel Delamere trade. What was it like going into Philly? Like, were the adjustments you had to make going into Philly?
I mean, it was a big adjustment for me. The trade happened in the summer, in the middle of one of my beer league softball games, so it wasn't. It was kind of out of sight, out of mind for a while. But once you got closer to the season, being a West Coast kid and having never been off the West Coast, that was an adjustment. Moving back to a city as big as Philly, and being just the time zone thing. I always told people that's a bigger adjustment when your whole world's kind of centered on being on West Coast time. That's something that takes some getting used to. I now understand the East Coast bias slightly from a sports perspective. I still think it's overblown, but no, it was definitely adjustment. I think 21 at the time, so I kind of tried to look at it like that's graduating from college. You're getting an opportunity in a new place, and it's time to grow up a little bit and really start locking in.
Yeah. Were there like any? What players were you looking forward to play with as you were making that transition? Like, were you excited to play with one specific player?
Really the whole team. I mean, I obviously going into that season, there were not the highest of expectations, but Elton Brand was a great mentor for me and really helped show me the road, show me the way to go, not only on the court, but off it, maybe more importantly. Um, Andre was an established vet. We had drafted Evan that year, coming off player of the year in college, and Drew Holiday, I think that was kind of right around the time that he started his ascent upwards and never really looked back. And then Lou Will, who I'd known in Thad from my high school days on the circuit. It was fun getting back with those guys. So it was a lot of fun to be a part of. We were young, we were probably in over our heads a little bit, but it made it that much sweeter, the little run we were able to go on.
Yeah. Now, Iverson just retired before you came to the team, right? He just
Yeah,
retired.
I just missed him.
So you ever got a chance to play against him? And what was
Yeah.
that like playing against someone like AI?
Oh, I mean, it was fun. As someone my age, he was kind of that generation growing up that of the handful of guys that everyone idolized and had their shoes and tried to recreate their moves and everything going forward. He was he was on that Mount Rushmore. So it was, even though I missed him, just the times that he was around, and he was around a lot, and it looks like he still is back there. It's a lot of fun being around him, being in his presence. He's one of one.
Right. Yeah. So during your time with the Sixers, he made it to the playoffs for a couple of times, right? Under
Yep.
Brett Brown. Brett Brown, you
No, that was under Doug.
Oh,
Brett,
Doug,
I
right.
played for Brett just the last year, which was not. We did not have playoffs in the cards that year.
Yeah. So how was it playing in the playoffs? Because that was the year you guys were against the Celtics.
The second year, the first year we got matched up with the Heatles, and that one was over pretty quickly. But the next year, Game 7 in the Boston Garden to go to the conference finals. That was one of my favorite memories as a basketball player, and we kind of felt we were right on the cusp. Unfortunately, management had other ideas, but for me, that was my first year in Philly was my first taste of being anywhere near the playoffs. So it was an incredible experience, and it kind of changed your perspective where, you realize that you don't want to settle for anything less than being in that position going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you were playing right before the process years.
kind of the beginning of it when they started blowing it up. That was, I would say that was when the process probably officially kicked off.
Yeah, you just got out of there. I mean, the one year we had like 15 wins, the one year we had 9 and something like that. So you got out of there in nick of time.
Almost in nick of time. There was a tough stretch before I got traded, but everyone kind of knew the deal for better or for worse, and it's worked out okay for the franchise. I'd say it's going pretty well.
Yeah, we got someone like Joel Embiid. So I just want to talk to you about him really quick, then we'll go back. Joel Embiid, this season, he's playing like the MVP. So give me your opinion about Joel Embiid and what you like about him this year.
I've always, had incredible respect for him and for his game. I think this year, watching, it seems like he's made a concerted effort, night in and night out, to dominate, by the hoop, next to the hoop, whatever, whether it's shooting free throws at a historic clip or playing out of that post, demanding the double team, the triple team, getting his guys involved. It seems like there's a switch that's gone off where he's not settling for that mid-range jumper, the step back, or taking as many threes. And given his physical abilities, which are probably up there with anybody that's ever played the game, it's refreshing to see, as a big guy, between him and Jokic this year, the two front runners for the MVP are both centers, not traditional centers by any stretch of the imagination, but 5 men with no illusions of, trying to be a point guard. I guess Jokic kind of plays like a point guard, but it's great to see kind of when everybody wrote our species off, just like the Phoenix, we rose from the ashes, and now arguably the 2 best players in the game. And like I said, the 2 overwhelming MVP candidates are both centers.
Yeah, I mean, Joel Embiid is really changing the game. People are saying like he's Hakeem Olajuwon out there. It's kind of funny with that footwork. So, yeah. How do you feel?
His fundamentals, are something that even if he was not that big and physically gifted, he would still have the ability to be an extremely effective player with the footwork and the touch that he has. And you throw in his ability to physically dominate, and that's what puts you in a all-time conversation for how you play that position.
Yeah, and you were a center, so it's just like today's league, right? Is more involved into the 3. You were shooting threes back then, like 35%. Do you think you would be shooting more if you were in this league today?
Yeah, I think I missed my window by a few years on how the game's being played, but I think definitely. I mean, now you can't. If you're anybody on the court, if you can't shoot, you can't play. Maybe you can spell some guys here and there, but you have to be able to put the ball in from range at every position. And I think the way that's evolved the game, the way teams play now, I think makes it so much more fun to watch as a fan. I mean, now I just sit back and I put on the league pass every night and figure out which matchup I want to see or which player I want to see. And it really makes a much more enjoyable experience from that seat, as compared to, going back in time when it was a bunch of guys, playing 3 around 2 and not having the spacing or the shooting out there on the court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mention this one player who refused to shoot. Now he's not even playing for the Nets, so it's like there's that. But yeah, he's gonna be out of there. So you average like close to 9 to 10 points. Do you think you will be averaging more points if you're in today's league? You think?
I mean, I think probably just the way the game, the way the game has shifted. I think there's just more opportunities for big men, and when I first got in the league, I didn't shoot any threes, and then I kind of started dipping my toe in the water, and it really wasn't until Brett that I felt like I had a real green light to try and get up 4, 5, 6 games. So I think maybe just by the kind of the nature of how that shifted, where you're encouraged as a big man to take those opportunities as opposed to them being kind of a last ditch resort. I think it probably would have shaken out better for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were like that traditional stretch big. I mean, I just remember watching you, just getting open to that spot and just catching and shooting, like especially with Iguodala on the court and Drew Holiday. So that's just really cool to see. Is there anyone in this league that plays like you? Like you would be like, oh, that was me back in the day. Like you would compare your play styles.
I don't know anybody that plays like me, but like we talked about, I do enjoy seeing so many guys that have come in, whether they're Euros or guys that came up here that big men with skill that have the ability to play make, that have the ability to handle the ball, get a rebound, push it, make a decision. Because that's not, obviously that's a more modern phenomenon. That wasn't the way that the game was played. So seeing this entire generation of guys coming up, young guys in the league and guys in high school that are so versatile, but yet still have the size. I think that's a lot of fun to watch. And, like we talked about with what, Jokic and Joel have been able to do this year at the center position, being the focal point of the offense, not just to score, but, in Jokic's case, even more so as a facilitator, probably, the league's in good hands and in the center position's in good hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just amazing what Joel Embiid is doing. He's just a beast. It's just a process. What's up, Kate? Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. I'm gonna go through the chat later, guys. Just bear with me here. We're just having a conversation right now, so it's just fun. So I just gotta ask you this. Let's go back to when you were just got into the league, right? And you were on Sacramento. Was that team like who was your favorite team to play for? Like was it the Sixers, Kings, Cavs? You name it. Who was your favorite team playing for?
Um, it's hard. I mean, for different reasons. I think I enjoyed my time in Philly the most. I was there the longest. I
Right.
felt the most connected to that franchise by far. But playing when I got to the Clippers, playing on a team with that level of talent was definitely something that you always aspire to be in that type of position. So for different reasons, different situations, but I definitely love my time in Philly. Still got a lot of love for the city, and have fun watching the guys putting themselves in a position to try and go chase a championship this year.
Yeah. And people are saying like our fan base is so, bad, toxic, and all that stuff. So what was it like playing in front of the fans?
Depends how you shoot that night,
Right.
and if you win. So that's a ever evolving, devolving relationship. But I think the thing from day one that you recognize, especially when you get there and you're playing for them, not against them, is just the passion that they have night in and night out. No matter how the team's doing, they show up, they're loud, they wear their emotions on their sleeves, and that's all you can ask for, as a player.
Yeah, all you got to do is like perform, play well, and just have fun out there. That's all we're asking you. If you're sucking it, we're gonna let you know. I mean, we've been hearing boos like down our throats and stuff like that. It's just crazy on how everyone pictures us as like the bad guys for years, and it's just like it's getting annoying. It's crazy. It just is. So what
Well,
was
it's not like that everywhere, Mitch. I just got to tell you.
your right. Yeah. So I'm guessing you had a lot of like fan interactions. So what was like your favorite fan interaction that you remember as a Sixer?
Um, Man, that's a great question. Um, it's hard to remember one of them. I think I would just say, kind of on a macro level, when we beat the Bulls that year in the playoffs, just the level of excitement in the city, little stuff, going to the grocery store, going out to dinner, just how much the community and the fan base rallied around us, especially like we talked about with not a lot of expectations to be there. That was so fun to be a part of. Going to the airport, having fans wait in the playoffs, having fans there waving you off and greeting you when you come home. That was special.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine just walking around and just people recognizing you. I'm still guessing you get a lot of people recognizing you now when you're in the city.
Uh, Probably more so just because I stand out. I'm kind of hard to hide, but I would say probably more so in Philly than anywhere else.
hmm Yeah, Phillies is something special, and I'm not just talking about the cheesesteaks. So I just gotta ask, where would you go for cheesesteaks? I'm sure people would love to know. Was there like a specific spot you would go to for a cheesesteak?
I always was privy to. I like Geno's and Tony Luke's.
Okay.
Those are my spots. But like cheesesteaks, kind of like pizza. It's not. I don't know that I've had bad ones probably in like an airport somewhere, but I haven't had a bad one anywhere in Philly.
Yeah, that's great. I love Philly cheesesteaks. I mean, I don't live in Philly. I live in South Jersey. So it's just like a little bit harder for me to get that Philly cheesesteak, but the
Yeah,
place is
you
here
want the
where I live.
authentic.
Yeah, of course. Of course. So is there any players you still talk to from your time in the Sixers?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's kind of tough as the years continue to pass, but I'd say I talk to Evan Turner probably the most, but still try and stay in touch with Elton and Thad and Andre and the guys, and just whether it's shooting them just a little message here or there after one of their games, or just something simple, just to uh, try and keep those relationships alive, because you go from spending so much time with somebody overnight to uh, not having that interaction anymore, that it's kind of a experience that I don't know you really replicate anywhere else in your life, and it's obviously a very unique one, and you don't want to let those relationships slide.
Yeah, of course. I mean, was there like any other players that you actually loved playing with on different teams, not just the Sixers? Was there like that one guy you loved to play with, loved to talk to?
Man, there's a lot. I played on a lot of teams, so
hmm
I had a lot of
Yeah.
teammates. But you know, my time in SAC was a little different. We were young and bad, so there were a lot of moving pieces all the time. Philly was a little bit more stable, at least until the end. But I played with Delhi in a couple different situations in Cleveland and Milwaukee. He was a lot of fun to play with. When I got to LA, like we talked about, there was so much talent on that team that my role kind of shifted from having to do a little bit more on the offensive end to just being more of a complementary piece, and playing off guys like Blake and CP, JJ, Jamal. I mean, they made the game pretty easy for me. And then going back, when I was in Charlotte playing with Kemba, you know, the his ability on a night in and night out just to dominate the game from that position at that time was special. And I mean, there's so many names. I know I'm missing some guys, but I was lucky to be able to play with a lot of great players, and especially guys kind of at the beginning of playing with Giannis before he'd really taken that huge leap forward was fun to see his development even in a brief period of time that I was there.
Yeah, especially him getting this ring this past year. I mean,
On one knee.
right. Joel Embiid had the same thing too. But what was going through your mind that you played with Giannis and he's now champion? I mean, that's got to be cool to see, right? Like you played with him.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis and Chris. I'm trying to think if there are any other guys, any holdovers from when I was there. I think they might have been it. But
Mhm.
seeing from when I was on the team, just whatever. I think we were the sixth seed, 6 or 7 seed, and not making it out of the first round to them being able to get over the hump last year. That was fun to watch, even given kind of the weird circumstances of last year. Seeing the validation for him, I still think he's underrated. Speaking about Giannis, which is pretty crazy to comprehend, but seeing him battle back in that finals after anybody else's knee would have exploded and they probably would have been out for 8 months, and 2 days later he's back playing and putting up 50 something. I mean, that's got to go down the history books.
Yeah. I mean, just that development, not just his skill, not just his game, his body as well. I mean, he bulked up from when he started. He was a twig at 15th pick, and then he just shot up. I mean,
Yeah, I
that's the
mean,
guy who put in the work.
he'd physically be arguably the most dominant center if he played that position, and he's effectively out there playing point guard at that size. I mean, there's just not. It's a different world now, and there's a kid coming out of France next year that's like 7'4" that shoots threes effortlessly. I mean, the game is evolving, and it's fun to see how quickly it's happening. Right in front of our eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just amazing. So when you were sorry, I'm kind of like all over the place here, but when you were like growing up, getting into the basketball, getting into the NBA, was there any player that you like modeled your game after? And like, oh, I'll take some of his and put it in my game.
Yeah, I would say the two that I idolized probably the most were Tim Duncan and Dirk. Um, Dirk being a big guy, not the most athletic, but his ability to shoot and really change the game, change the position at his size was something that I think everybody tried to emulate. And then Duncan, with his fundamentals on both ends of the floor and being the pillar for that franchise for as long as he was, I'd say those are the two guys that I really strive to emulate the most.
Yeah, Dirk is actually my second favorite player all time, next to Allen Iverson, and I just love the way Dirk played. That fadeaway, just him being out there and just being that sniper. It was just something to love watching. Like I can go back now and watch his highlights. Like that guy's a generational talent, and we'll probably never see another guy like that for a little bit, but maybe we will, despite how the
Well,
game.
he's a guy. I think when you're judging guys, looking back, could he play? How would he translate in different eras? And I think he's the type of dude that was transcendent in a way that if he were getting drafted right now, he'd fit in as well or better now than he did coming in, when I'm sure every coach that he had when he got in the league was pressing him to try and post up more and play center and shoot hook shots. And he did it his way, and he changed the game for everybody else afterwards. Being a big man and being able to play that way.
Hmm. Yeah, now you have guys like Chris Stapps. It's gonna go on and on. So I've actually never heard of this guy from France who's 7'4". What?
Yeah, I think his name's Victor Wembaya, something.
I gotta look up
I'm
this guy.
butchering
Like,
that,
what the
but
hell?
get on get on YouTube after it off and start digging. You guys won't have a pick that high, but
Yeah. I
he's
mean, you got
impressive.
him. You got Chet Holmgren. You got a lot of guys in this class. A lot of
Yeah.
guys. Yeah. It's just fun. So I'm just gonna ask you this now: what is it if you would go back into the league? If you started this whole thing over, would there be anything different that you would change, or would you just keep everything the same?
I don't know if I'd change too much differently on my end, but I think if you could go back with the perspective that you earned, or that you kind of uh, you put together over the years, whether it's getting drafted somewhere and thinking that's where you're going to spend the whole career, and then getting traded, and just understanding early, you know, where you fit into the grand scheme of things, how the business works, um, how everything off the court, handling that, how important that is. I think that's something when I was younger, you know, getting those things in order. I think that's something that I would emphasize more. And trying to be more proactive there as opposed to just, um, kind of hanging on for the ride, which a lot of guys do at the beginning because, everything's new to you. I was 19 when I came in. So, uh, I was kind of learning on the fly.
Now you just gotta. I mean, 19. You still play 1 year in college, and then you can get into the league. So
Yeah. And
now
that's soon to change. I mean, now it's going to be guys coming out of high school.
I know. I mean, there's this guy from high school, Mikey Williams. I mean, he can get in right now. I mean, he's that
There's
damn
there's
good.
probably there's probably a bunch of. I mean, they did it for a while, and it worked out for a lot of guys. So I think the sooner the better.
hmm Yeah. So, is there anyone from the Sixers that you think that could play well in this day, like in this era that you played with? Maybe like a Evan Turner. I mean, Evan Turner kind of did a little bit. He kind of
Yeah,
did
I
before
mean,
he left.
there's still guy. I mean, Andre's still rolling strong. Lou Will still
Yeah,
putting buckets in down in Atlanta.
that's
Obviously,
insane.
Drew, incredible impact in the finals last year. Thad is still going strong. So I think uh, there's guys that literally are still doing it at that level.
hmm Yeah, the longevity of players is just insane. I mean, you have Vince Carter who played for like 22 years. You have like it's just amazing how well the body is just being well into the game. Like the health and everything just have to keep up, keep going. It's a work. It's a work in
Yeah, I mean,
progress.
I had a tournament this weekend. I had two games on Saturday, and I didn't get off the couch yesterday. And I was just talking to talking to my girlfriend about it. Like, I can't believe I used to do this 82 times a year and not think twice about it. And then especially as you get, on the other side of 30, things start hurting that you never you never accounted for before.
Yeah. So you play in a tournament now? Like
Yeah,
where?
I was playing in the athletic club. We had a Pacific Coast tournament.
Oh wow, that must have been fun.
It was fun. It was good to be back out there.
I mean, you probably, man. I mean, how was it like playing with them since you play with the league? I mean, it must have been a lot different just playing with you know, regular people who did not make it into the league.
Yeah, it's a little different, but it's competitive, and basketball is basketball, and I think that's a fun thing. It's not only the NBA that's evolved how everybody plays. It's everybody else is not not to that level, but in terms of style of play, not too far behind. So it's fun. It's fun still getting out there and hoisting them up from deep.
Yeah. I mean, you play the whole game, or you probably don't play the whole game, right?
No, I got a couple breaks, but more minutes than I played in the league, that's for sure.
Yeah, of course, of course. So, do you still talk to like what's his name? I mean, Josh, not Josh Harris, my God, but how do I say this? It's like, I don't know. But let's. I just want to talk about you starting, right? You think you'll be able to start in this league? I mean, if a coach told you to get out there, you'll be able to keep up with them.
I don't know if I could start in the league right now. I think if I had to go out there, I could figure out a way, but I don't know. That would take some ramping up and a few breaks along the way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, is there a center in today's league that's close to your game? Close.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of centers have kind of moved to playing that way um, as it's gone along, especially as dominant as the two guys we talked about kind of at the top of the list are.
Yeah.
There's still there's still not many guys that you're worried about as a matchup from a post up perspective. It's not like the game shifted back to having a bunch of five men that are dominant, simply playing on the block. So I think a lot of the centers have developed shots and have been the offenses have kind of shifted where they get to handle the ball a little bit more. So I think there's still a few traditional guys out there, but for the most part, it seems like the whole game's kind of going towards guys that can shoot and play make a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm looking at your stats right now. Actually, it looked like your best points per game was against Cleveland. I mean, for Cleveland in 2013. Was that like you were like one of the guys? You were just getting the most shots. You were just one of the second options or third options that year.
Well, playing with Kyrie makes things a lot easier. And
Right.
fortunately, we were able to kind of get a rapport pretty quickly. When you set a ball screen for him, you got a little bit more time before your big gets back to you because he draws so much attention that you can almost kind of line it up and tee it up to get some of those shots off. So he made things pretty easy on me.
Yeah. I mean, just playing with Kyrie and that's just one of the best point guards I've ever seen. Just like his playmaking, his dribbling, and he's still doing that for the Brooklyn Nets. And he killed us the other night. So he's just like, you like watching Kyrie play, just like from a fan perspective.
Absolutely. I mean, I think he's as close to a basketball savant as you're going to find. The things he can do with the ball, uh, his footwork, I think, is one of the most underrated aspects of his game. It's when you think you've seen it all, he pulls out a move that looks like he's out of left field, but then if you know him, you realize he's practiced that time and time again just to have that opportunity to break it out. So I really enjoy watching uh, his skill level, which I think people kind of miss out on with some of the other parts of his game, is second to none at that position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now you were playing just you were playing with some of the best basketball players in the world. You played against some of the best basketball players ever. What was it like playing against like a Kobe Bryant or some like a Kobe? How was it playing against him?
I mean, it was awesome, but it's one of those things where you kind of have to quickly snap out of, especially when you're younger. You come in, you're playing against Kobe, Shaq, AI, Duncan, Dirk, guys like that. You got to remind yourself that you're a contemporary now. You're not a kid looking up to him. And I think the first couple of times you get on the court, you kind of catch yourself just watching, and you got to pinch yourself and realize, all right, I'm here for a reason, and if he's not on my team, then I got a job to do. I can't sit around and think about how cool it is to be out sharing the court. I got to go handle mine.
Yeah, yeah, but you also can't take it for granted that
No,
some of
not
the
at all.
no, I mean some of these players like Kobe, they made so much of an impact on the game, and it's just like sad to see them gone. So it's I actually have a couple of fan questions here for you. So I'm just gonna. What's the Sixers cultures like as a team and as an organization, and will Embiid, Harden, and Maxey trio fit that culture as well?
That's kind of a difficult question for me, having been away from it for so long.
Hmm.
I was there kind of the beginning of the new regime when the new ownership group took over with Josh and David. So I saw, kind of what they were trying to do and really bringing it into being a first class organization, which I think they've done a great job of. But I think with them, it's just going to, like anything, it's going to come down to their chemistry, and then the matchups come playoff time go in their favor. I think they got an opportunity. There's still time left to try and get a higher seed and make sure that not only the home court, but not getting stuck with potentially a Nets team that, if they stay towards the bottom half, could be a first round matchup. I think everybody's trying to avoid that.
Hmm. So here's a good question for my buddy. What do you think is the highlight of your career?
Uh, like single play.
I guess single play, team play. I guess whatever.
Um, the three I hit against the Bucks, the one at the end to tie it up,
Yeah.
that was pretty fun. That was a tough year, and any win we could get at that point was very valued and appreciated, and that was definitely a fun one. But I'd say team wise, after Andre hit those free throws against the Bulls, kind of everybody ran to midcourt and jumped up on the scores table. I think that was one of the best nights of my life.
Right, right. So someone else asked, how was it playing under that coach, Doug? How was it playing under him?
It was good. I mean, Doug was definitely of an older school, but he he took a young team that like we talked about had not a lot of expectations and not many guys that had been there and really got the most out of us as a unit to be able to get in the position to be in the playoffs and then the next year win some games in the playoffs. So I really appreciate what he did for not only me but for the organization, turning it around and getting it back on the right track.
Yeah, yeah. I actually got a chance to meet Doug. He actually signed a basketball for me that was signed by Moses Malone, World Be Free, all these guys, and even Andrew Bynum. He signed that ball, and I'm like, oh my god.
Okay, you got a few generations on there.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. So I kind of miss Doug a little bit. He kind of had like that certain play style he liked to run. He had that certain play style he liked to run.
Yeah, we didn't turn the ball over very much.
No, not like it is now. I mean, there's so many turnovers now. It's insane.
Yeah,
But,
we also didn't score very much.
right. I mean, it was like a give or take. So,
Yeah.
I just got to ask you this. Would the referees now, do you think you could be playing with the referees now that are calling like every little thing, like they're not even calling travel, so calling anything a foul? So, do you think you'll be able to play with the refs like that?
I actually think it's a lot better this year, and I
Mhm.
think for someone like me, um, or my kind of class of players, not being a star and never really getting the benefit of those calls, I think this year has been refreshing that they've kind of had a little bit of a reset and gotten some of the ticky tack bullshit out of the game with stopping, jumping sideways, jumping into guys. I think that's another thing from a fan perspective that makes it a lot more fun to watch. Kind of getting rid of some of that riffraff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my friends or parents that I know or adults, they can't watch the game now because the refs have ruined it. Like the refs can't keep on calling like these stupid fouls. They gotta let them play. So it's just like and Harden going for those fouls, Joel B going for those fouls, getting to the line. I mean, it gets too much.
I think this year they've really made a concerted effort, and I think it has gotten a lot better. Just knowing that every play you come down, especially down the stretch, it's not going to be a hand check or some weird, the guy stops and yeah, your momentum's going, but then it's a shooting foul. I think they've straightened a lot of it out.
hmm Yeah. If you could add any player from any team this year and add them to the 76ers, who would it be and why?
Who? Good question. Any player from any team.
My guess
Yeah,
probably like LeBron, Giannis, KD.
yeah. I mean, I think KD would fit. Given the structure, it would be a big that could shoot, defend multiple positions. Um, yeah, KD would probably fit that mold pretty accurately.
Yeah, I mean KD is just a freaking nature. I mean
But
he's the
I think
best.
shooting. I think shooting would be the priority. Anytime you have someone like Joel, just surrounding him uh, with shooting, and then um, defensive ability and the ability to play make a little bit. I think would be welcome.
hmm So, what do you think of the Sixers trading for James Harden? Do you think that pushes them to be like in the title contention?
I mean, it better have, or else you're in trouble. I think you make a trade like that, and that has to be um, the ceiling you're looking to have, and I think it's a trade that, given all the picks and the uncertainty with Ben, time will tell who ends up on the better end of it. But I think, given the circumstances and the window that the Sixers have now, I think they have to go for it, and I think that's a move that shows that they're invested in doing just that.
Yeah, I mean people are still talking about James Harden not being able to close out games. I mean you saw that against the Magic. I mean he pitched up wide open shots and people are getting on his head about that. To me, it's not like that big of a deal. To me, that is.
Well, I mean, he's got nothing left to prove. You know, from a regular season standpoint at this juncture of his career. I think what will define that is how he plays in the playoffs and how far he's able to lead the franchise when you get to getting to the games that really matter.
Yeah, he's a top 75 player. I mean, do you agree with that? With him being a top 75 player?
I do, but I think he's still, like we talked about, I think he's still got a lot to prove. For how that contributes to winning and winning when it matters most. And I think paired with Joel, this playoffs might be his best opportunity in a long time to do that. And I think he's going to have to rise to the occasion.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he made it over Tony Parker, though.
I mean, you can't single out just him.
Tony Parker, Tracy McGrady, I can go on and on.
No, there's a lot of guys that you could argue should have been on there, and there's some guys that you'd say, well, how did they make? It's just anytime you have that many moving pieces, you can break it down a lot of different ways. But you talk about guys that have revolutionized how the game is played. He's up there with a lot of the all-time greats.
Yeah. If only he can help us get a ring, then I'm solidified. If you get us a ring,
yeah, it sounds like you're not sold.
Because to me, it's just like he needs to get a. I feel like he needs to get a ring, even though some players are not in the or in the Hall of Fame, don't have rings. You got Iverson, McGrady, Barkley, but I think if he does get a ring, that will put him higher than those guys. So I feel like he needs to get a ring to help him with his legacy.
Well, I mean, it's going to elevate anybody's legacy. I think far too often that's a barometer that that people use to kind of tear people down in hindsight. But he's got as good an opportunity as he's had in front of him, and so now it's time to kind of silence the critics.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you gone to any games this year yet, or not really?
It's tough, man. We're still waiting to get a team back up here. Don't think I've been to a game this year. I've been to a couple since I've been out, but the Sonics come back, I'll be a frequenter when the Sonics come back.
I heard they are coming back at some point.
Well, we got a building now, so it should be a matter of time.
So, how long you been? You live in Seattle now, right?
I do. Yep.
Yeah. How do you like Seattle?
I mean, I'm born and raised here, so this has always been home. This is always where I'd spend my off seasons, really up until training camp. So this is home for me.
Yeah, okay. So, do you remember like your off-season workouts to like stay in shape? Do you remember your workouts back then, or?
Yeah, I don't miss that part of it. It's a lot of time, in the weight room, on the track, in the pool, in the gym. So you miss part of it, but you don't miss the preseason conditioning ramping up for training camp.
Right. I mean, you had to probably like stay working. You couldn't take a day off. You probably took a day off here and there, right? You probably took one day off.
Yeah, but you'd always kind of feel guilty when you did, or you go on vacation and you're trying to find a gym when there's really not one there. So that's the thing that shifts when you get now. It's like, all right, if I go away and golf for a few days, I'm not going to beat myself up about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how does it make you feel with a player like, Ben Simmons, who doesn't actually put a lot more work to his game? Like he's not really putting effort out there. So do you
I mean,
I
don't know Ben. I don't know his habits kind of behind the scenes, but from what you see, as a guy that would love the opportunity to be out there, anybody that makes a decision just to not play, I think that part is frustrating.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he was blaming on the fans. He was blaming on mental health. Quotes on that, but if he does, I don't know. He was like blaming on everything else but himself and working. Like he's been doing this all through his life ever since college at LSU. Like to me, that's like a slap in the face.
Yeah, and like I said, you never know what's going on behind the scenes, but that's why sometimes getting traded is for the best for everybody, and maybe the new opportunity, greener pastures for him. We'll see what comes from that.
Who's your favorite rookie player to watch?
Oh, favorite rookie. Oh, that's a good question. There's some good ones.
They're good ones this year. Yeah, you got Cade, you got Green, you got Mobley, you got a lot.
I really like Mobley. I watched a lot
Yeah.
of him at SC because he's the Pac-12 guy, and I think he's got an opportunity. Nothing against the other guys, but I think he's got some unicorn in him that you just don't see. You don't see guys like that coming along every year with his versatility and his size. I think he's got the chance to be a perennial all-star, cornerstone of a organization for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, the rookies are just getting better. It's younger every year. I mean, just like the talent's insane. So, have you met like any players that like idolized after you in your game that they told you like, "Oh, I took some of your game here. I really like it. I like the way you played, etc."
Yeah, I don't know anybody that's idolized me, but I try. The guys that, especially the guys that are out here in Seattle and they come through that come up here or guys at UW. I try and pay it forward to them as much as I can for like the guys, Jamal Crawfords and Jason Terry's and the guys older than me that did it when I was coming up. I try and pass along as much as I can to the younger guys and impart what I can on and off the court. Paulo Banchero that's at Duke right now. I've spent a lot of time with. I know him pretty well and his family, and he's a guy that I've had a ton of fun watching this year, and can't wait to see where he ends up next year in the league.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you have like any advice for the people that are trying to make it to the league? Because people are going to watch this after it's live. So, do you have any advice for them?
Shut up and work.
That works.
Everyone's going to have excuses. Everyone's going to think the world's out to get them. I think, we talked about perspective earlier. You think when you're coming up, especially, and you get drafted high, you think that everything revolves around you, and you realize that it really doesn't. And especially when that door closes, you realize it even more so. And so, when you have excuses and they start creeping in and you start feeling sorry for yourself, no one cares. Just figure it out and keep moving forward, keep improving.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Was there like a special thing you did before each game, like that helped you get you pumped up? Like you had LeBron James with the chalk and like up. Was there like a ritual you did or a routine?
No, I mean I had a routine, but it wasn't anything like it was more just the timing of getting treatment, getting there early, making sure you go through your routine on the court. I'd always eat a pretzel when I was in Philly before the games, and even when I'd come back, I'd go get a soft pretzel from the boys back in the laundry room. So that was something that I miss. Taking down one of those before every game.
I mean, was there like any music you would listen to, like in the locker room, to get you hyped up?
No, I mean I'd kind of mix it up. I never had like a playlist that I'd go over, every game. But there's so many of them. It's kind of hard. You try and hype yourself up for every game, but you also don't want to get too far ahead of your skis. So you try and, it's a fine line of being excited, being prepared, but not getting too juiced up early when you got 4 more that week and a long season ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, your mind had to also be like on basketball and basketball and basketball. So was there like a time where you had to like sacrifice going out with friends and family to work on your game? I'm pretty sure it was.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially during the season, you kind of know every night you got out, you're going to pay the piper. So you got to kind of try and limit that to the off season. But it's there's a lot of sacrifices you make. It's birthdays, holidays, family events. There's a lot of stuff that you can't be a part of, but you also got to realize that there's hopefully a long life afterwards, that if you take care of business when you're supposed to, then you can be able to enjoy that stuff down the line.
Mm-hmm. Spencer, huge fan here. I'm watching the Sixers wearing my Jody Meek jersey as we speak.
Meek, my guy. He was on my Big 3 team this summer.
Oh, you played in Big Three. I forgot. So
Yep.
what was that like?
It was fun. I mean, it was tough. The COVID situation, we weren't really traveling around as much. We were kind of in Vegas pretty much the whole time, week after week. But it was a lot of fun seeing all the old faces and different type of game. But the competition was there, and that's the thing you miss the most.
Yeah. I miss watching you, Drew, Lou, Will, Iggy, Jody, Thad Young, etc. You guys were the Sixers team of my childhood. I mean,
That's awesome.
same here. I mean, it had to be like amazing just to get that from fans non-stop. Just like their appreciation, their love, and everything. That must have been so cool.
Well, especially from Philly fans, because you guys aren't the easy bunch to get it from.
That is true. That is true. I mean, it's still ridiculous. I mean, there's, we're bad fans. I'm like, I'm getting tired of this. I'm getting so freaking tired of that, man. It's just not a good look on the city of Philly at all. Now, last thing, and I'm gonna let you go because I'm sure you're gonna want to watch the Sixers game as I'm going to do after this. So, was there like a time where you just had to like? Was there a time you were thinking about quitting, like in the league, or was there like a time for that?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like anything. You always think the grass is greener, and if you're not playing, or you get traded, or you get waived, whatever it is, uh, I think that's the easy way out, right? Like I don't need it anymore. I'm tired of this. But um, I think you got to snuff those thoughts out quickly, and I think it's natural. I think everybody feels burnt out. Like I was listening to people talking about Brady, um, and I think it was Steve Young was talking about it, and he said at the end of every year, especially towards the end, you feel like you got nothing else to give, and then you take a step back, you reset, and you realize, all right, this is what I love to do, and this is what this is what I know, this is what I do. So I think everybody has those thoughts at certain points, but um, if I could go back now and talk to myself when I was having those, I'd say, hey man, it's a lot as bad as you think it is. It's a lot better than sitting on the couch and watching all the games on TV.
Yeah. I also saw you play back in 2017. I think when you were on the Bucks with the long hair versus Dario Saric, Alex Petrus. Yeah, you missed that long hair.
No, I do not. I don't know why I let it go as long as I did.
I like that long hair. I can't grow long hair at all. Like I
No,
can.
it was not. That was not my best look.
Hey, as long as the fans liked it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
pretty
you
sure
got.
you had a lot of compliments.
Yeah,
And
you gotta have the flow. If you can get the flow, you gotta rock it for a little bit.
so this actually just came to my head. Social media, right? Back then, I can't believe I'm saying back then. Wow, I feel old. But there wasn't like a lot of social media then, like how big it is now, like the Twitter, the feedback, Instagram, and stuff like that. So would that stuff have like a big effect on you? You think with the social media, everyone at you like coming at you here and there, stuff like that?
Um, I mean, I don't. It kind of started coming along beginning, middle of my career, but I was never. I mean, I enjoyed Instagram, Twitter. I like harping back and forth with people, but I was never really comfortable with like the self promotion side of it as much, which is kudos to the people that are good at it and that are, because there's incredible opportunities um, that come about from it. But um, you know, you don't want to be on Twitter too much in Philly after a bad game or after a losing streak. You want to make sure those mentions. Uh, you don't want to go looking through those too often, because too many people, I think, take it personally and allow it to start affecting them, uh, off the court, which can inevitably translate to on the court.
Hmm. What is it like seeing a former teammate in Ellen Brand as a general manager?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, Elton's the type of guy that if you spend enough time around him, you realize whatever he was going to do when he got done with basketball, he was going to be good at. And seeing him be able to still contribute to the organization in Philly, I think is a lot of fun. And I still love picking his brain about stuff to this day.
Hmm. I actually met Ellen Brand, Al Horford, and Joel Embiid. They were at the place I work at, and I was just talking to Joel Embiid like face to face. Remember, he's 7'3". I'm like 5'5", 5'6". So I was looking up, right? And then as soon as he walked away, my head was stuck.
Yeah.
I could not move. I was like, my neck couldn't move. So it's just like, it gotta be funny seeing like all the different sizes of the players when you're in the league. It's gotta be funny, right? Seeing like how small, how tall, how big. It's gotta be funny, right?
Yeah, I mean, I never had to look up to too many people, but when you do, it's definitely a weird feeling.
Hmm. Do you watch Vucevic play from time to time?
I do. That's my rookie, so I'm proud. Uh, I'm proud of the incredible career that he's put together. Wondered when they traded him why it was him and not me. But he's had a remarkable impact, and this year for the first time in a long time, it's going to be fun having the opportunity to play, in the playoffs and where their position potentially go on a run in the East.
Yeah, I mean, we had so many players back then that were so good now, like Jeremy Grant, Vucevic. I mean, there's a lot of them. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's like being a Mariners fan. You see them when they're young, and then they trade them away, and you watch
except
them
for
flourish.
Ichiro, except for Ichiro.
Yeah, but still never made the playoffs.
Hey, I mean, baseball's back. You gotta like that, right? Baseball's
That's
back.
exciting. I think the Mariners. It's looking like we're going to be good this year. So hopefully we don't jinx it.
Yeah, you should come up here and watch them when they play the Phillies.
Oh, I do. I love that ballpark, so I would not be opposed to that.
So I just want to say thank you for coming on. Shout out to Jake Fisher. He's my guy. Thanks for answering my question, Spencer. Huge fan. You're the man. Great interview, Mitch. Thank you, Hunter. Good job. Thank you for that. And thank you again for coming on. I mean, it's just a real honor. You were growing up one of my favorite Sixers to watch.
Thanks for having me, Mitch. This is fun.
Yeah, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. See ya. All right. Yeah, I got you. There we go. Guys, that was so much fun. That was the best thing I've ever done. Thank you guys for being here. I mean, thank you for your questions, comments. It just means the world. This is why I love doing YouTube. I love doing YouTube just for like this. I don't care about the numbers, views, all that stuff. What are the odds that you get to play for or talk to a former player you used to watch? Just let that sink in. Yeah, I should have brought that up. Well. But guys, if you missed the beginning of the interview, it will be on the channel. It's also on the Spotlight Sports Network's YouTube channel. So I highly request you guys to go subscribe over there. The link is in the description below. Also, while you're down there, go cop some merch. The merch is down below in the description. Just thank you guys. This was the best moment of my life, hands down. Shout out to Jake Fisher. I'm gonna send you this. But yeah, guys, thank you again. What's the score of the Sixers game right now, man? What's the score to the game? Are we winning? Are we winning by any chance? Let's see. Sixers up by 3 in the third quarter. I'll take that. All right, guys. Subscribe if you're new. Smash that like. Do all that stuff. We'll talk to you all later. Peace. MK out.